You didn't unmute. Huh?
I forgot to unmute. Okay, guys, sorry about that.
But the whole thing, bro.
Okay. But this is maybe if I may just take you shortly the question, just emphasizing that this is the question. Okay. The products were giving us this, but I'm using letters for each product, and the information is the way it is, and I'm going to extract it the way it is. Okay, maybe what I forgot to extract is the machine hours. The limit is 2,400. All right, this is the information. So, and this is what is in my worksheet. All right, machine hours, I have a total of 2,400. Okay, this is the maximum I have, hence the limit. Okay, so I was saying, okay, maybe I wouldn't say, but the steps are clear when you're doing the product mix. Okay, you identify the limiting factor, which you have done. It's machine hours, they were only 2,400, and then you determine the contribution per unit of each product first. That's step one or step two. Okay, so contribution per unit, we are saying it is the selling price or revenue per unit minus the variable costs per unit. You have contribution. All right, so it's this minus that. You have this. You do the same for all the products. So I hope we are good till this part. Okay. Then the next step is you determine these contributions here. You now determine the contribution per limiting factor. Okay. Contribution per limiting factor. In my opinion, I usually like doing it this way, that you bring this contribution per unit the way it is. And now this whole thing, we're saying we want it to be still per, okay, per limiting factor. Okay, limiting factor is known, per machine hour. Okay, so before you come straight and divide, be sure that this is machine hour per unit. Okay, they will tell you machine hours, yet they're meaning total machine hours. So you're supposed to compute machine hour per unit. Then in this formula, what happens is, let me just expand for, okay. So we're saying is the contribution per unit divided by the machine hours per unit. Okay, that for every machine hour, we are making a contribution of 300,000. Okay, that's step two, determining this step. Then you do the rest, you do the same for the rest of the products. Divided by 8. Okay. So this is what I call step two. It's step three, in my opinion. Because step one is determining the limiting factor. Step two is determining the contribution per unit. Step three, okay, so let me do that then. Okay, this is 2. This is 3. Okay, this is 1. Okay, then after determining your contribution per limiting factor, you now rank. Okay, ranking. You rank your products based on the contribution. Of course, we all know that contribution is profit in a way. Okay, it's not full profit, but it's profit after deducting variable costs. Okay, hence, the higher the contribution, the better. So we have this as first, and then this one will be second, this will be third. Okay, maybe I should write it in full. This is first. Okay, these are just rankings, they're not, this is second, this is third. Okay, so based on those rankings, okay, yes, let me just put this down. Okay. Based on the rankings, it's what we're going to base on now officially to produce. Okay, what we do is you keep producing your products based on their demands, of course. Okay, because once they meet demand, then that is, you don't want to produce more than what you have. Okay, guys who join and don't mute. Huh? Okay, Tiani, kindly mute. Okay, so I was saying, having ranked, now you begin producing, but you don't just produce for, okay, you produce based on the demand. That once you produce 200, indeed people are going to consume them or buy them. So the demand is supposed to help you in that regard. What should you produce? You only produce what the demand can consume. Okay, now we start our production. Now this is really allocating. You're now going to allocate the limiting factor. How we allocate, like I said, it's based on products, of course. But so you have products, then you have the demand. Okay, the demand really helps you to get how much limiting factor you're going to use. Okay, what we call required limiting factor. In this case, let me say required machine hours. Okay, then you have the remaining. That as you allocate, the hours are reducing. You don't have a luxury of just spending or using the hours just the way you want. Okay, so we have remaining machine hours. Okay, now you begin with the first product, of course, the product that took the first ranking. So in this case, W. Okay, the demand is only 200, right? So you ask yourself, how much machine hours do I need to use to produce the 200? Okay, this brings us to our information here. Okay, I didn't bring the information here, but if I may take you back to the question, I don't know, I forgot to bring that information. Okay, I think I have it, machine hours per unit. I have, okay, here, machine hours per unit. That for a single unit of C, you need 6 machine hours. For a single unit of W, you need 4 hours. So if you're going to produce 200, okay, to meet the demand, you need 200 times 4. Okay, hope that is clear. So 200 times 4 to be 200. Maybe I should create another column for that. Let's say machine hours. Hours per unit. Okay, here we have 4. All right, so the required will be the 200 times 4. All right, so you need 800 hours therefore to produce the 200. So having allocated the 800, how much are you left with as far as your limiting factor is concerned? So we only had 2,400. If you remove 800, you will have remaining balance of 1,600. Okay, these are the only machine hours that are left after producing the 200 for W. Okay, then you go to the next product. It is N. Okay, what's the demand for N? It is still 200. Okay, how much does each unit require, or as far as machine hours are concerned, how much do we need for a single unit? They say it is 6. Okay, from the question, this one is from the question per unit. It is 6. So how much do I really need for the 200? It is this times 6. Okay, so you need 1,200. Then you ask yourself, do I have enough hours left to cover the 1,200? And I think yes, we have. Okay, because we had 1,600. So when you deduct data for 1,200, what are you left with? You're only left with 400. This is the only remaining time we have. So we go to our next product, which is C. Okay, the next product of C, it still has the same demand of 200. Okay, and it consumes 8 hours per unit. So ideally, if you want to produce the 200, this 200 here, that is the demand, you need approximately 200 times 8. You need approximately 1,600 hours. Okay, but you're only left with 400. 400 is remaining. So meaning that the required labor hours that you have should not exceed 400. So you work backwards. Okay, that the only time I left with is 400 right? 400. So, but how much do I need for a single unit? It is 8. So how much will I produce officially? Okay, to be that X. And the X is got by, we know that you have X n times the 8 for a single unit. It should be giving me the 400 that is left. Okay, you can't consume what you don't have. So our X therefore is going to be the 400 divided by 8. Okay, 400 divided by 8. So the only products you can produce for C are 50 units, not the entire 200. And therefore our product mix, in terms of units, you have W bringing 200, then you have N, okay, sorry, you have N contributing still 200, and then C will bring 50. That will be a product mix, okay, in terms of units, of course. All right, so I hope we are together. If you have any questions, feel free to raise them now. But otherwise, if they ask for the product mix in terms of units, this is what you do. Okay. So let's see what they wanted the other part. If you don't have any questions, can go to the next part. They're saying, what's the maximum contribution? What's the maximum contribution? Now, the maximum contribution is, of course, based on the quantities that you've come up with. Okay, so if I go back to my working, okay, I'll just look for contribution per unit, contribution per unit of each product. Okay, so for W, contribution per unit is given by, come here. You don't use the one of labor hours. You don't use the one of contribution per limiting factor. You use contribution per unit. However, is not okay. REM. Okay, so I was saying, so you bring these contributions that you already have. So for C is 1,800. Is it C or N? I think it's C. Yeah, 1,800. For N, it is 1,600, and so is for W. Okay, these ones are from your workings. So therefore, officially, our total contribution will be equal to, since this one is per unit, so it is the number of units times per unit. Okay, which is that. That's what you have. Okay, if you want total, you add them together for all products. Okay, I hope we are fine. So I'm going to the next required or next requirement. The next requirement says that okay, I'm not asking for anything really. So we're done. Determine the optimal product mix, we have seen in terms of units, and the maximum contribution we have seen that this guy can manufacture. Okay, can expect in the next accounting period. And you have your 10 marks, right? Can maybe look at also part B. Okay, any questions so far? Otherwise, if they're not there, we can continue. Okay, part B was looking for determine the number of units that should be produced and sold per annum to break even. No, we want to do part B. This is break even. You can try it out. The same formula is. Could you kindly go through the calculations for optimum mix? The last part. The last part, you mean the. Okay, yeah, I understand. All right. So if I may take you back to what he is asking. Okay. I think he's very interested in this part here. This one. Okay. How we end up with the X and stuff like that. Okay, so we're saying that the first steps are clear. That's determine the contribution per unit. And then the next step is determine the contribution per unit per limiting factor. Per limiting factor. And that will help us to rank. Now, after ranking, we say you deal with each product, you allocate this limiting factor, which was 2000. This one here, let me bring it here. Okay. Before you do any production, the hours that you have available to you, machine hours, are 2,400. Okay. So as you produce, of course, you will be not serious if you prefer to produce a product that has less profit, okay, compared to the one that has a lot of profit. Okay, so preferably you always have to produce, you maximize the one that gives you a lot of profit, then the one that gives you little profit, you just produce a few. Okay, you maximize their load. So that's why you see we begin with the big one, so that as you go down, when the limiting factor is reducing and reducing, if time comes that we don't have anything, then you're not producing a low producing product. Okay, so I think I've said a lot, but I hope I'm not confusing anyone. So we're saying W first come because you have a lot of contribution. Okay, what's your demand? It's 200. Maximize, produce the entire 200. Okay, as long as the limiting factor is still there, produce the entire 200. If the limiting factor was just, for example, if it was 1,000, that's an example. If it was 1,000, what would happen is you only produce W. Okay, and in producing W, you don't produce the entire 200 because you only have, okay, you would actually produce the entire 200. Assuming, I wanted to put it this way, assuming you had 200, okay, as your limiting factor. What would happen is you would come to W, the first product, which has the highest profit. You have 200 as demand. But the limiting factor, you only have 400 hours available to you. So if you're going to produce 200, you are going to need 800 hours. So you can't produce, okay? So you only use the 400 that you have. So the 800 will become 400, and then you work backwards. That you need 400 hours, okay? Each unit is at 4, and therefore what you produce would be probably, okay, let me see if it's Y times 4. I only have 400 available. This is times. Okay, I only have 400 available. So meaning that W, you're going to only produce what? Y. It's going to be 400 divided by 4, which will give me 100. All right. So, but just take you back to the question, which is this. We're saying first produce A. Okay. So when you produce A, because it has a lot of profit, you want to maximize really. Okay. So we're saying each unit is at 4. All right. So since I'm producing 200, I'm going to require 800 hours. Okay. Do I have enough hours? Yes, the hours exceed 800. So I say, let me now use the entire 800. But what is left on the 2,4? It is only 1,600. Then you go to the next product, which is N. The demand is 200. Okay. If I want to maximize the demand, how many hours will I require? I will tell you that one unit is at 6. So meaning at the 200, you will need 1,200. Then you ask yourself, do I have enough time? Do I have enough material or cost, or is the limiting factor enough? You say, let's see. When you check, you have 1,600. What do you need? 1,200. You say, okay, let me produce. How much time will be left? It will only be 400. Okay. Then you go to the next product. It is C. Okay. The demand is huge. The demand is actually 200. Okay. But for it to produce 200, remember unit is at 8. You're going to need, okay, if it's 200 times 8 times 8, you're going to need 1,600. Okay, so what you need. But you only have 400 left. Okay, as far as the limiting factor is concerned, or the machine hours are concerned. So you're not going to assume machine hours from anywhere. So we only have 400. So ask yourself, how much now? What will the 400 produce for me? Then you work backwards. Okay, you say that what is constant is, for a single unit, you need 8. So if you have 400 machine hours, it means that they can help us produce. Okay, that's how we're working backwards. What is the formula? So we're saying that X times 8 will give me the 400. So when I work backwards, I'll get the 50. Okay, I hope I've answered you. Thought we could consider C after W, because it was ranked second and third. Is that so? Okay, let me see. Okay, we said W is first, hence we consider W first. The next we're supposed to consider is C. Oh, wow, I think we made an error here. Yeah, you're right, thanks. So C is the second ranking, okay, not the other way around. Okay, so it is 200, C, okay, that is the right figures, just the naming. Because the 6 hours, okay, and then, okay, I just used the wrong namings, but the calculations are right. Okay, so I hope we're fine there. Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so good. We can try out some other question. Okay, and we see. So that is really product mix. It's very easy. The steps are few. You just look out for a few things, rank them, practice more on the last step. I think it gives people some more time to understand the first time. But once you do some 2-3 numbers, you'll be covered. Okay. Then there's, okay, this one I've said it's break even, you're going to practice. Okay, question 6, 7. Question 8. Okay, I don't know they're going to set this, but we never know. They're asking for the significance of management accounting. Okay, how management accounting is important. Okay, Madam could be tricky. She could set that. Management accounting, how is it important? Then the difference between financial accounting and cost management accounting. Okay, still the same question. Feel free to read through those. Then characteristics of good accounting information. Okay, this is accounting, not cost. So I don't know if you give the ones we learned in accounting 3, if they'll be fine. The qualitative and stuff. Okay. So that I won't really waste time on it. Then the fixed cost explain the product that can be dropped. Okay, so this question. Okay, you have to make a decision. Where you need to make a decision, we are coming in. Okay, so this one was, I think, about the best product. Okay, and of course you also take in account the relevant costs as we make decisions. Okay, if a cost is uniform to all, for example, do we consider that? Will it help us in making a decision? I don't think so. Okay, so let's look at this and see how we can go about it. They're saying the required bit says, using the information above, explain whether end product should be dropped. Okay, assuming the following information: that the fixed costs are general head office costs, which have been apportioned to the product. Then note 2 says 50% of the fixed costs are costs that are directly attributable to the products, and other half represents general head office costs that have been apportioned to the product. Okay, so this is, I think, if you refer to the notes, I think it is on most likely shutdown. Okay, thanks, shutdown. Shutdown operate. Okay, but I can't confirm. So you're given this information, 2 products. Saying Pepe Limited has been manufacturing and selling 3 products, A, B, and C. Then they're saying that the cost and revenue information for the last quarter has been summarized in the table below. Okay, so they didn't give us C, they gave us A and B. They're saying that junior management accountant of Pepe Limited fills one of the products. I hope I'm sharing the screen or you're seeing the question. Okay. Right. Should be dropped, and he thinks it is a loss-making product. Okay. since one of these is loss-making product. So you have been requested to give your opinion on the same. Okay, so here is junior, first year, seniors. Okay, so we're going to have these two products and then make a decision accordingly. So if I might just do my worksheet again. Okay, so you have product A. Have A and B. Okay, then you have the selling price. Okay, I just use SP. Selling price, we all know that is cost per unit. For A is 4,500 and for B is 3,100. Okay, then you have variable cost. Okay, you're going to use I think it's all right. I shall use the marginal kind of thing where you have contribution and then deduct fixed cost. Then, so we're given variable cost. You have direct material, you have units produced and sold. So those are units really. It's not our issue. Then you have direct labor per unit. Then you're interested. Then you have fixed costs. Okay. So under our variable costs, we have material. Okay, per unit. Per unit is 700 for A, and then 600 for C. Then you have labor. Okay, labor we have 1,100. Then you have 300. Okay, so when you deduct those, this gives us total variable cost. I hope I'm not in any way being fast. Okay, you know these. Okay, I'm not sharing the screen. I forgot. Sorry about that, but I'm going to share it in a few. Okay, let me first summarize the information. So then you have contribution. Contribution, you're saying it is given by the selling price minus variable cost. Minus variable cost, total variable cost. Okay. And then from this, we deduct fixed costs. Okay, the fixed costs we had 320,000 and then also 320,000. Okay, for A and B. However, we have additional information regarding the fixed costs. Okay, so ideally, I don't have to put them there straight. We can look at the additional information. Okay, maybe for now, let me share the answer sheet. Okay, I hope you can all see it. I'll just try to summarize the information. Okay, so I pray that we are fine. So I had to bring the selling price. This is per unit, remember. Then you have the variable costs. These are still per units. Okay. Then you had fixed costs for A and B. All right. But they're saying, if I may just take you back to the question. Using the above information, explain whether one of the products should be dropped. Okay. One says that the fixed costs are general head office costs, okay, which have been apportioned to the products. These are general, okay. Fixed costs are general. All right. Then they're saying, part 2, that 50% of the fixed costs that are directly attributable to the products and the other half should represent general head office. Now, under decision making, fixed costs are irrelevant. However, what we call direct fixed costs, that these relate strictly to the product itself, that once you drop the product, then these direct fixed costs will also drop. Those become relevant. Okay. So they said 50% of them, 50% of the products are the ones which are directly attributable to the products. All right. So when you bring your information, therefore, to the answer sheet to make a decision, you don't bring the general fixed costs, you only bring the ones that are directly attributable, which is the 50%. Hence 50% of this. Okay. 50% of that. Okay. So then you can now obtain our loss or our final profit. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think we're given the total units that were produced. I think we were. Okay, they were given. Have I shared the question? Yeah. Okay. So we're given variable costs. So with fixed costs, remember they don't change with change in level of activity. However, our variable costs do change. Okay. So, and you can't compute where you have a variable cost per unit and then you deduct fixed costs. But rather you get the total variable cost, total sales, okay, and then total fixed costs. That's what you compare or compute. So having said that, for A, we have 100, and for B, we also have 100. So we're supposed to multiply our variable costs here and the selling price times 100 to get the totals. Okay, so if I may just create another column. Okay, saying for this is for A, but it was per unit. Now that we have totals, this is for A, total. Okay, selling price is going to increase by, be multiplied by 100, right? Even my total variable cost, this times 100. I just multiply each at a time or each line by 100, but for purposes of time, allow me just use the total. Okay, the contribution, of course, it can be the same as times 100, or you come and say the total minus this. Okay, now officially, this is what you're now bringing. All right. Okay, this is per unit. So, guys, unless you have any questions, this is how we would go about this question. And then compare the one that gives you the best profit, of course, the one that you consider keeping around, especially if both are making losses. Okay. So per unit, this 100 times this. Okay. The 100 is coming from the fact that those are the numbers that they produced. So this minus that. Okay, then our fixed costs. Okay, so my profit for there, therefore, it is the contribution minus the fixed costs. Okay, and as you can see, these products, they're both profit-making products. So, ideally, the junior accountant was mistaken. Okay, so since both products are profit-making, we don't need to close any. Okay, and the trick was really on these on the fixed costs. That those are the directly attributable. Those ones make what make sense, or they should be related to the product. But where they are not directly attributable, they don't decide or contribute as far as making decisions are concerned.